works for you. And go ahead, I'm Mary Bell Nyman. This is week 3, your intuition in life and during global change. And of it, just the best time to do this kind of work. So take a deep breath. You made it. Sit back and relax and enjoy yourself. We'll have an adventure tonight. So if you would, go ahead and ground. Find that base of your spine in the very center of the earth. And let those 2 points be connected. You can use a redwood tree, a beam of light. Energy isn't fussy. It doesn't care. A hollow pipe. And take about 3 deep breaths and go inward, letting your body get quiet and focusing your attention inside yourself. Turning off the world and just focusing on you. Let your body know you're safe, that this next hour or so is just for you. There's nothing you need to do. Just giving yourself that time and space to discover more about yourself as a spirit in relationship to the world. And lots of times people will ask, how do you, once you find your space, how do you keep it? Especially in the midst of all this trauma that's happening on the planet. How do you keep that perpetual state of meditation and honest mind? Because our brains are so good at wanting to distort reality, wanting to make up what it should be versus instead of what is actually happening. So learning to live with the fact of what is happening right now. And that means to you as well as the world. So just take a minute, breathe, and check in. How is your body feeling? Are you tense? Are you angry? Are you frustrated? Just notice what is in your world. And as much as you can, try not to make it wrong or right. Lots of times, past information that's stored in our brain kind of begins to interfere with our neutral observations of what's going on around us. So our mind tends to be prejudiced. Sometimes we prefer to live in the past in memories and not so much the present reality of what actually is. So again, breathe. And just let your emotion match where you are. Right now, there's nothing to worry about. You're in your calm, grounded space. So just being present with where you are as a spirit and a body. To me, we can only see what really is when we have a quiet mind. Otherwise, we get pulled into the story of what we think is happening, or what we read is happening, or what someone we like said is happening, versus what is actually is. So just breathe. and just be in that quiet space, ready for whatever's going to unfold. And when you can give all your attention to whatever is happening in each moment, then you start to really experience what I would call present time, just this moment, and being with it. And sometimes it's interesting. I can remember one winter morning years ago, I walked outside and I slipped on ice. And I was like, well, and I'm laying on the ground. This is interesting. Hadn't planned on this one. You just have to laugh. What are you going to do? It's like, okay, dust yourself off, get up, and keep going. So it's like, even when things don't go your way, it's like, okay, you know, can I just be with this experience and move on? And when you can, you start to find this place of neutrality, and it lets you open up more to the world and experience it. Our energy flows in abundance every day. Do you notice they give us a brand new day, a brand new experience every morning when we wake up? No 2 days have ever been alike. And every day you get to start over. You forgive whatever happened that last day, it's gone. It doesn't even exist. So if you're holding on to it, you're holding on to regret or fear. It stops you from really being right here. And that's when you start to miss some of the magic on earth around you. So every morning when you wake up, it's like looking at your kids, your partner, your life, going, wow, here I am. I am so blessed. Finding that space of gratitude and abundance for wherever you are. Because we're given that ability to change it. As you open to that new day, you'll find that fear starts to disappear and love stands in its place even stronger. And that you start to carry with you wherever you go, whoever you meet. It's kind of like if you get a flat tire, instead of being, agonizing over the flat tire, it's like, oh, who am I going to meet? Going to call someone, they're going to help me come and fix this flat. Who am I supposed to meet today? What is this encounter about? Is this someone I've known from a past life? Do I recognize this spirit? What is this adventure about? What am I learning by being in this experience? And so when you can go through life that way, it makes it exciting. You don't have any idea what's coming around the corner. And you can meet some just amazing people along your path, especially if you're open. And so it doesn't become this disaster of a flat tire. It's, oh, here's an experience to awaken even more. And I think this is about what tonight's going to be about, is being able to, there we go, being able to really dive in and see, look at the world around us. We're in the midst of the biggest shifts on the planet, and it's huge. And, it's beyond all of us, and it's going to happen. So it's like taking a deep breath and making space for it. Because if you resist it, I think it's even harder. And how do you do that? How do you walk through that energy? And that's what we're going to work on tonight. So take a deep breath. And just let that body know that you as the spirit have all the information. You came with all this information to walk through these changes on earth. And now's the time to activate it, to really call for it. So start to do that. Just tell your body, hey, this spirit part of me has the answer, and I will take care of you. I will guide you through this. And let that body start to relax. Then it can hear you a lot easier as a spirit. So as we start to walk in the world aware, you start to see the whole human condition and experience it as oneness. So it brings a measure of like peace and goodwill into our energy and our everyday conversations and consciousness. So this is what, when someone talks about an old soul and a young soul, it's not age, but it's more awareness. A baby soul, a young soul is all me, 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 me. They can have a lot of greed. They want everything. They're like a little 2 or 3 year old. And as you start to bring that awareness as a spirit to yourself, you start to understand the world in a whole different way. It's like anything you do that hurts your neighbors hurts you. You get that. You understand that oneness. So we start to understand the needs of our neighbors, our nation, and our world are just as important as our own. We are all in it together. And the more people that awaken to that, the easier it is to shift gently through these huge shifts. So we start to reach out to everybody, embracing and living that love. And for a lot of us, that's hard to do. We see those really big shifts begin to happen, and it starts to freak us out. What if I don't like the shift? What if I can't get my needs met? And there's all these questions, these what ifs. And it's interesting if you could write them down and really look at them in meditation. It's like, what is this really about for you? Are you afraid you aren't going to eat? There's a lot of food on this planet. There's more than enough for everybody. It's just a matter of distributing it, getting it around. What is it that is your biggest fear? And how do you start to find an answer for that? And so some of that comes up for us. We don't see the everyday misery in which a lot of the world lives. So those of us that have all this don't recognize, what it is to go hungry for 2 or 3 days. We don't have a clue. So we might have at periods in our life, but most of us don't live that way now. And so we forget what that's like, or we've never experienced it in this lifetime. So it's really learning how to figure that out and be aware that most of the planet is in a little bit of survival. They don't have the level of ease that we have, or that their survival needs aren't already always met. And so being able to extend that ability, it's hard to love and open your heart when you're starving. It's like your biggest angst is just getting food or shelter. So again, as we start to work as spirits, these are things that are going to be easier to overcome. And I love this young generation. These teenagers that are out right now, oh my God, they are going to kick this planet wide open. They're already inventing all this new technology because these are techie babies. And us old dogs, it's not our world, but these guys are going to save the planet. I love these, teenagers that are, decide I'm going to, sell whatever. There's this boy that, crochets Afghans and has made all this money for Ethiopia, just by crocheting all these Afghans and then selling them on the internet. And so you find these individuals that are just brilliant and they have this idea. I don't want anyone to be hungry. I'm going to do this. You have these ones that are working on pollution, getting all the plastic out of the ocean. And we can't even fathom what that looks like. Even if you see a picture, it's beyond our imagination how much plastic is actually in the water. So here are these teenagers diving in, and it's going to be amazing. We have the brains to change all this. And so anytime you start to get fearful of the shifts coming, you want to remember that all of us plan this reunion down on earth together, and we have the answers. It's just giving each other space and being willing to listen. And The body's an amazing tool, but sometimes when we start to go into a big shift, our bodies go in resistance. And so looking at that, you can feel it in your gut. It gets tight. It wants to hold on. So allowing yourself that space to really get curious when you have that feeling, because your body's telling you, oh, I'm in resistance to this, or there's part of this that I can't handle. And so it's talking to the body and saying, what is it that you need? What will help you move from the place you're in back to your place of calm or peace? And so, again, being with what is allows you to start to get that information. Sometimes the ones that are standing in the most light, and I'm just gonna call us the energy workers, because we're in that vibration, we don't always recognize the shift that needs to happen. In some ways, we're already there. We're already envisioning the world as one. But there's also a reality of how do we get it there on a body level. So most of the world has extreme hunger, starvation, poverty, disease, intolerance, which does create fear and uncertainty in their lives every day. And again, we don't go through that as much. So it's like, how do you start to shift that global consciousness? And to me, it begins by like recognizing how much greed has controlled the planet and apathy. How we get afraid that one person won't be enough. And again, that book I was citing last week, Power versus Force, the power that one person can make is phenomenal. But the power of a group like us tonight is even more amazing because we can join light. And when you shine that light, darkness ceases to be. And that's to me just the most exciting thing in the world is being able to help someone, um, being able to make a conscious difference. So as we shift our global consciousness, we we mock up or we want to create a world that's free of that pain and suffering. It's like nobody in this day and age should go hungry. And yet we know that's happening. And it's like some of us are going to do it physically. There's people that volunteer that go to other countries. And, they help. And some people are going to do it through energy work. Some people are going to do it through donations. So there's no right or wrong way. It takes all of us coming together. It's like pick your favorite project and see what you can do to make an individual difference. And I just lost a cousin a couple of weeks ago, and he left all his money to charity, which I just loved about him. And he kept this little notebook, and he left the big bucks to, the bigger organizations. He would give, $5 here, $10 here, and every month he was giving to some cause. So it was interesting to look at how many, he just had pages of little donations that he sent, but it was like little beams of light going out around the planet. And so it doesn't have to be an enormous amount, but giving from that place of peace and love and generosity starts to build these shifts that change the whole network of the planet. And when we start to see, hey, we're all in it together. It's like this group. We're one big crazy family. But don't we have fun? And hey, it's, we're all together. And it doesn't matter where we're from or how we grew up. It's that we like holding light for things. We like being energy workers, are people that extend light and peace around the world. And that's a huge thing to be aware of. this shifting awareness is kind of like a tidal wave descending upon us. So if you feel like there's a tsunami coming, you're so right. And it's huge. And people everywhere want change. They want to bring down the greed of the big oil companies, um, evaporate the American and world power plays, all those things that we all know are wrong with the planet. It's like everybody wants to see it shift where everyone can have the ability to heal themselves and move forward. And so it's getting out of that greed and into a space of supporting each other. And this is part of what's happening on Earth is it's shifting into a more spiritual planet. And you're going to see a few things that don't look very spiritual coming up. And that's because the dark has to come out. And as it does, you have kind of two choices. You can resist it and get pulled into it, or you can find that place of inner peace that you are in right now and hold that vibration and project it outward. To me, in a way, it's a matter of forgiveness. Can I forgive somebody who's in that corporate greed? And can I forgive that in myself? We all play a part in it. And so forgiveness to me is kind of like being able to recognize everybody makes mistakes. And most of us make mistakes that are small. We don't affect a million people or 2 million people. And when you get to the big corporate levels, they do. And so as we have permission to forgive ourselves, whatever we've done in our life, whatever mistakes we've have made, then it starts to add up and accumulate that vibration of forgiveness and awareness. They go hand in hand. And it lets these big corporations start to do it too. You've seen some of this, some of the like Hollywood people that, make 40 or 50 million who've donated large amounts to causes. And it's great because, hey, several of us sitting in here tonight, we probably don't have 40 million. I'd say most of us. And so if we did, wouldn't it be fun to have a blast and see who you wanted to give it to? It's like if you could do that, who would you give it to? And it's kind of fun to just have that vision. And when you start small, you add to that and it inspires somebody else to do it. I do think more and more corporations will start to donate money to end hunger, end a lot of things. And they'll want, to be like, oh, my corporation gets applauded for donating money. And at least they're doing it, whether they do it for the right reason or the wrong reason. Some of them will do it for the points. But I think we will start to see this worldwide level of working together, cooperating. And contrary to public opinion, I don't see that as communism. I've had someone say that to me, oh, that's communism. I'm like, I don't see it that way. But to me, it's on a soul level. It's going to start that way. And it's going to take 10 to 15 years before it's totally in that shift. So some of us old dogs will see it all from the other side, but you'll know you got to help plant all the trees and they're going to mature maybe for your grandkids, our grandkids, and not so much for us. We'll probably be watching from the other side, but that you were a huge part of it. And that's really exciting. So no matter where you are, how long you live, it's nice to be a part of really shifting Earth to a spiritual planet where it is about awareness. So it's kind of time for a release from failed systems and institutions of the past that don't work. People can't hide behind political and economic ideologies, religious dogma. That's the body versus the spirit, and we're going to shift it to spirit versus the body. So they're working together. So there are a lot of things that are going to shift in a very positive way. Um, and some people that's scary for, they want to hold on. So if you can find this resonance, it's nice to send it out to the planet. I'll give you an example. If you just take a deep breath, you're already grounded. And if you look about 2 feet above your head, there's kind of a gold white light. And just vibrate it. It's energetic. And just let that gold white light come down through the top of your head, all the way down into your heart. So just like having a tuning fork, tune that vibration to your heart, to love, to that space of oneness for all. And then you can imagine that gold white light, just sending some of it. You can imagine the globe floating in space and just surround the globe with that light. Just that nice gold white light all the way around the globe. And also some of that energy into others, all the ones on the other side that have already died and gone before us. So that you're sending that healing light to both the earth and the spirits on the other side. And it's subtle, but notice how it's our energy and the whole group changed. Just sending that light that everyone finds that same level of peace and calm. Because trust me, if the tide was changed and you were suffering, there's a part of you that would, cry out to whatever source, to God, to whatever you saw to help you get out of that situation. And those of us in here really have that ability. We can extend that light. And we may never meet them, but you don't know who's extending light for you. Because all of us have been in situations that were beyond us, and we made it through. And I have to believe there's some spirits out there that were helping us. And as you start to open your heart and your mind to a new level of consciousness, we allow ourselves to gain a sense of cohesiveness in order to build new institutions that'll actually meet the needs of a new consciousness. I just see a grand future in front of us. Again, it's about 10 to 12 years out where it's totally in that vibration of oneness, but we're eking towards it every day. And the more light you can extend, somebody's got to hold the vibration. Somebody else, those young pups, those teens are going to build all this new technology that supports it. They have blueprints in them that we don't have. Some of us are the old dogs, but we've been keeping it grounded and conscious and held together. And without this structure that we've created, they wouldn't be able to do what they're doing. So we need places for all of it. I've always been lucky. I worked in a birth center and I've worked teaching meditation to children for years. And I love seeing these new spirits come on earth because their agreement is so different than ours. And what they bring is so different. It's like, how do you combine spirituality and technology? And that's their world. So we're going to miss it. Some of us are, we're not going to see all those pictures or those concepts, but those kids are right on it. So to me, holding that space open to support all the teenagers coming in with these new ideas, someone needs to let them have a voice, kind of like our little Greta with global awareness, climate control. Who would have thought a 15-year-old could have rocked the world um, and made it want to change? And this is the thing. It just takes one person to open a level of awareness. And did it happen overnight? No. If you read anything about Greta, she beat her head against the wall for many years. And then it happened. She just felt so bad about the earth being destroyed and climate change that she couldn't not do something. And so it pushed her. And what is it that pushed her? It's her spirit. And to me, that's how God moves through us, is he awakens that part of us that's spiritually aware. It's like your intuition is your spiritual awareness. It's your connection. And when you get that push, it's like there isn't anything you can't create. Um, I can remember coming out to Boulder, and I didn't know anybody here. My sister knew someone, so I met them. I just knew I wanted to teach and create a center. And someone said, "Well, were you afraid you'd fail?" And it's like, it never crossed my mind, because I knew there were other spirits here that wanted to learn and grow. And so it's exciting to find each other. And whether it's, I love Zoom because, hey, we don't have to live in the same town. It's so great. We can hold hands and still be miles and worlds apart. But we're still in it together. And finding that camaraderie, finding that ability to share, to tank up. I always said the center was like an oasis where people would come and they'd leave all the pain that they experienced in their life. They'd tank up with light and love and that feeling of peace inside. And then they go back out in the world. It's like if you went to every class at the center, the most you could be there is like 3 years. You're not meant to stay there for life. It's like finding you and taking it out into the world. Because we're all teachers, we're all beacons of light. And that to me is the most exciting thing, is watching someone grow and change and discover that light within themselves. And there's nothing like it. There's nothing on a physical body level that comes close. When you get in that deep place of spirituality, that part inside you where you connect with the oneness of source, the oneness of your own spirit, it's palpable. You can feel it. You just radiate it. And that to me is worth living for. That's the adventure, is finding that. And it's hard to do if you're stuck in hatred or anger. It's harder to find that in yourself. So when you open your heart, you start to find this new level of consciousness. And it allows you to expand and to really touch base with everyone around you. And it's to me, it's just mind blowing. I love it. I always said, well, I've done this like 42 years. And I said, well, if I get bored, I won't do it. But it's like, how could you ever get bored on this journey? It's so exciting. And each person that you meet spurs you on. It's like, what can you learn from each other? Nobody's better than the other. We all have something to teach. We all have a story, something to share. And recognizing and seeing that gift in each other is to me the real miracle. So it's like totally being present to what is happening right here and letting yourself drink that in. So take another deep breath. If you still have that gold white light running, excellent. This time, turn it totally inward, letting it fill your heart. And then using it as a way to ground out of your space anything that is not in harmony with you, anything you're through with. Maybe you used to be a jealous person, or you used to feel like you weren't enough. Whatever it is, we all have little ka-chings that we've worked on in this lifetime. Just let that gold white light go through your whole aura and just neutralize those vibrations. Any place you haven't forgiven yourself for something, or you haven't forgiven someone else for something, let that vibration just go through your aura and release it. To me, forgiveness is for yourself. Whether that person that you have karma with can have it or not doesn't matter. It's a way to free yourself and begin again. So that every day when you wake up, you don't wake up with this 50-pound weight of baggage that you've been trucking around with you. You wake up totally free. So any petty disagreement, I mean, does it really matter? When you get in this vibration, is there anything worth holding on to? And just bless it and let it go. What you're getting ready to do is so much stronger than anything you're holding on to. So allowing yourself to envision that grandness within you, making more room for it. And breathe. Then you can turn off that gold white light. It'll just go back up 2 feet above your head. It's always there. And find a color you'd like for the rest of the night. And put a huge gold sun above your head, twice as big as the body. Put a favorite color in there or something that feels peaceful to you. And think of 3 things you'd like for yourself. As a healer, as a light worker, you have to be able to fill up your own tank first before you can share with the world. So look and see, what do you need? What's something the body needs? And what are several things you as a spirit need? Put it in that gold sun and then pop it. Let it flow down and fill the inside of your whole body. And then around you, out into the aura. And look and see, is there anything inside physically that needs a little healing? Could be a big toe, could be an elbow, could be your heart. Just bring some of that energy into the physical body, any place that you need a little healing. Just giving it to yourself. And then before we end tonight, take a minute and ask all your spiritual guides, any of the masters that you work with, any of the angels. Just ask them to come and be with you, to give you that help. And just notice how that feels when they come around you. Just allowing yourself to feel that level of calm and peace and love through both the physical body and yourself as a spiritual being. Take a little bit of that energy that they've shared and ground the calendar for the next 2 weeks through the end of January so that no matter what happens, you can go through life with this bit of calm and see the bigger picture, not get pulled into the little things.